Woo! Simbas. So anyway, this is my Wal-mart OBE-VR-lucid dream. It was really fun. My OBEs by aliens to Wal-mart, looking for my bike, getting hand a spade, walking around all mad, yelling and cussing, bed of ice. Oh, that was that long ago? Dang. Excel entrance. Oh, I have the template all messed up, but that's okay. I already talked about that experience. The bookstore experience. And about to get hand a spade. But anyway, yeah, so this one, I need to talk about this one. Reptilians give me all these experiences. But, yeah, like I'm sick of that store up the street, man. They freaking overcharge all the time. You know, like they sit there and, like, on all the products, oh, for sale. I mean, on sale. You know, like those Terra chips were 2 for $5. And then the avocados are $3.99, but they've been on sale for months now for $3.29. And, 10 times out of 10, you got to watch their ass, because when you go through the line, they never charge you correctly. They charge you for the regular price, you know. And I'm not gonna pay $4 a bag for those stupid chips. They're tainted with chemicals anyway. I only buy them for, well, the plantains are fine, but I only buy them for my mom or the possums. I can't eat those anymore because I had a bad reaction because of the sweet potato chips was laced with chemicals. The first several bags weren't, but the last 3 bags I bought before Thanksgiving were. But anyway, yeah, those buttholes up the street, I'm sure they do that on, I don't know if Walmart does that. I don't think Walmart does that as bad, but Price Cutter up the street, they're always doing that. Like, everything's on sale, but it doesn't come up when you go through the line, so you got to watch them. You got to sit there, and many times I forget, or, you know, I just assume that they'll ring up right until I get home. So I had to go back up there, get my $4 back or whatever. Or actually $4, you know, will be credited to my account. But yeah, 2 for $5, and then they charged me $4 a bag, so that's $8, you know what I'm saying? I probably wouldn't have bought them if they were $3.99 a bag, you know, but they were 2 for $5, so that's why I got them. But yeah, they do that on purpose, I'm sure. Now, let's see, the coconut water, that did ring up right, because it was like $1.98 a piece on sale, but it's normally like $2.20 for the coconut water. But yeah, and then that one woman, I see her all the time, but she was giving me attitude because she thought I was talking about the bags of avocados, you know, that were 2 for $5. But then that other woman, I think she left and went home or whatever, and then the other woman came out and she knew exactly what I was talking about. So she fixed my, you know, my receipt and everything. But I mean, that's almost $5, you know what I mean? $5 could buy me a pack of hamburgers, organic hamburgers. Quit that. But yeah, okay, so I'm going to talk about, let's see. Okay, sorry I showed you this. OBE by aliens to Walmart. Okay, and there's Walmart. Well, I'm talking about two. Well, actually, I'm going to talk about a lot of experiences, but there's the. Oh, okay. Who is that? Who's jumping up there? Okay, that's the managers. This is the template. There's my red bike and the silver bike. No, not my. In the scenario, it was just my silver bike. But anyway, so but I was going to talk real quick about a couple experiences today and yesterday, and I almost forgot that one today because I woke up at like, I don't know what time it was. Probably like 6 or something like that, or maybe 6:30. I didn't even look at the clock. And I was like, man, what did I dream? Because I knew I dreamed something really good, and then I finally remembered it. But yesterday, like there's this one reptilian. He's always giving me these lucid dreams, and he's always making, you know, the motel room or the basement or the igloo. He's always making everything super huge. He probably gave me the one to Walmart as well, because when I went back through the break room, I looked up and it was like, wow, it was really huge. But yeah, so he's always making everything like huge. And oh my God. Okay, so yesterday I had this experience, and I'm not gonna try to go through the whole thing, but it was pretty long, and I was at a motel, and okay, so well, I'm just gonna talk about bits and pieces, but anyway, so I was in the motel room, and there was an old side, and then like a side, or I was in the motel room, and the other part of the motel room, I was to the left in a motel room. The other motel room to the right was a built-on addition, and it was newer. And but anyway, so I was sitting there in the motel room, and my veterinarian came in, and then she asked me something about. She wanted me to go through my checkbook and the receipts. I rarely write checks, but I rarely write checks, but in the scenario, in real life, I rarely write checks, and in the scenario, it was so weird. It was almost exactly. I mean, it was so weird. It was so real. Like I went up and got my checkbook because she wanted to see if I paid or something for the services I was supposed to, have paid for, and I went through my checkbook, it felt so real. I went through the checkbook. And I looked at all my receipts, and I saw in real, like the real checks that I wrote in real life, the receipts, like J&B Lighting, and I just kind of flipped through the receipts, and then I finally saw, so-and-so, like veterinarian service, or Sunshine, like veterinarian service. But anyway, I think I can't remember exactly, but she wanted I wanted to prove to her that I paid for the services or something like that. And she was really nice in the scenario and everything, the veterinarian. And she was, she's only I think 33 or something like that in real life or whatever. And she was really nice in the, in the scenario. And she was going to do some more services she was going to spayed. She was going to neuter Simba in the scenario. She was going to neuter Simba, but she wanted me to make sure I can't remember exactly, but she wanted me to make sure I paid for the last services or something like that, or I was going to prove to her that, yes, I paid for those, something like that, but I can't remember exactly. But it was so real. I don't know how the aliens do it, but, I literally went up to get my checkbook, but I was in a motel room, and I got my checkbook, and then I sat back down on the bed, and then she just kind of came in and was sitting there, because she was going to she was going to neuter Simba. And then I started flipping through my checkbook. And like I say, it was so real, and I saw the exact same names that I actually wrote, in real life in my checkbook in the dresser drawer. And but it was so cool. Okay, and then I looked up and I was like, wow. I'm like, this is like an auditorium. It was bigger than an auditorium. It was huge. The motel room was freaking huge. And mainly, the ceiling. I looked up and it's like, wow, the ceiling was freaking way up there. And I was like, wow, this is like an auditorium. Just like when I was in the igloo experience, when I looked up and to see how big the igloo was, I was like, wow, this is like something I would see in a dream. Because I didn't know I was dreaming at that time during that igloo experience. But yeah, it was huge. And because at first I was just sitting there on the bed and I went through my checkbooks and then I started talking to the veterinarian. And I didn't notice how big it was until I looked up and I was just like, wow. There's no way a motel room could be that big. But anyway, and then it's like I walked over to the, and then I noticed how the ceiling was newer looking because I was in the newer part or whatever. I was in the newer built-on edition of the hotel or whatever, and I noticed the ceiling tiles, were a lot cleaner looking and kind of white looking and squares and everything. And then when I walked over there into the older apartment that was just sort of right there, kind of built on. That was right there next to my motel room. It was exact same. It was exact same like motel room basically, but just a different motel room. And it was just I guess there was a door right there. I can't remember if I saw a door or not, but I went over to the motel room over to the right, and it was a separate like a separate motel room. But it was exactly like the one I was in, except it was like the older one. And then I looked up and I was just like, wow, it's so big. And then I noticed like the ceiling tiles up, on the ceiling, which was way, 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 way up there. I mean, it was freaking huge. And I noticed that they looked older looking, like they were brown and they were just older looking. But anyway, but then there was another part of the scenario I'll talk about real quick. This scenario went on for a long, long, long time. But the other part of the scenario, I went into another like motel room, and it seemed like, I don't know, I was at another motel, and I'm sitting in a smaller room. It was a smaller room. And my stepdad came in because I was showing him how, like, okay, this was like when I looked at the ceiling, and this was like a normal size motel room, well, maybe a little bigger, but the ceiling was normal height, but maybe just a little bit taller than a regular motel room. And over my bed, and like over my bed, I looked up, and there was like let's see, I don't know, like 10 foot by 10 foot square of all this leaking water. And it was just like the ceiling was like crumbling, and it was just like leaking. And I was like, wow, I don't want to sleep, on this bed with that, with the ceiling looking like that. And so then, like, my stepdad came in, and I told him, I was like, look at the ceiling. And then it was like, and then he called like the maintenance people, and the maintenance men came in, and they literally like took out a whole chunk. They took the whole chunk out that was all dilapidated and stuff. That, and water was like coming through and stuff. They literally sawed it all out. And I was just like, wow. So I'm going to have to like go somewhere and wait for several hours till they get done with it, But I was thinking that in my head. I was like, I'm going to have to go, I didn't know where I was going to go because that was my motel room. And, but that was just weird, like that big old squared out chunk of ceiling that was just really dilapidated. And then, like I say, when because it was crumbling, it was about to fall down, and some water was leaking through, and then there was like 2 or 3 maintenance men that came in. And then a few seconds later, they had already sawed it all out. Like it was just a complete hole up there. And then I was like, wow, it's going to take a while, till they get done with it. But that was just a weird, some weird, cool, lucid dream that, that I had. I mean, it lasted a really long time, but I just, it was more than just what I said, but it just, it was a long experience, and I can't exactly remember, middle, beginning, and end or whatever. But the motel room, I was just like, wow, it looks like an auditorium. But like I say, it was bigger than an auditorium. It was just huge. And there's this reptilian being that keeps giving me experiences like this. That makes everything freaking huge, like the basement. Like when I was renting out that house and I went down in the basement, and there was these 2 women down there, and they were doing artwork and stuff. But that's in another video or whatever. But anyway, that was just a cool experience or whatever that I had. But this other experience I had, and this was around December 10th, that was quite a while ago. The other lucid dream that I had, where I was walking around my old apartment complex in Kansas City, in Prairie Village, and it went on for a long time too. And I was walking around the apartment complex, I was walking down, the parking lot, and then I did go into my old apartment once or twice, but it was like a lot different in my scenario than in real life. And then at one point I was standing there looking at the parking lot, and I saw my sister walk by, and it was around 4 p.m. in the scenario. Sometimes the aliens, they give me a time that I know what time it is and stuff. And I knew it was about 4 p.m. and I was wondering like why she was just walking down the parking lot, like where she was going. And then okay, so I went over into this other little area, and it almost seemed like an area where a maintenance man would live or something. And this is kind of funny too because, well, actually, this is kind of funny too because this was a veterinarian theme too, so to speak. But this was a male veterinarian, and I know the aliens went off of what I thought this one veterinarian that I texted before, and I have no idea what he looks like. But I just had images in my head what he looks like because I've talked to him before by text. This veterinarian in real life that comes to your house or whatever. And so in the scenario, it's like the aliens put him in that scenario. And but I like. I mean, I told her, I kind of remember, like, like what he looked like, but I don't really know what he looked like in real life, but I sort of remember what he looked like in the scenario. Yeah, and so, but he was a male veterinarian. And like I say, I went off into this other little area that was kind of like a maintenance room, like where the maintenance men would live. And then the veterinarian came in, and he was male, and he was about to spade. Yeah, that's kind of funny because, like I say, this is kind of like the same theme as that other one I just talked about. With in the motel with the female veterinarian. But anyway, but that experience was just 2 days ago. This one was 2 or 3 weeks ago. And Hannah, I was getting Hannah spayed, and or I was about to get her spayed, and then the male veterinarian, like came in, and he had a big what do you call it? A big metal bucket of ice. Like a bed of ice, a big bucket of ice. And he took Hannah from my arms, and he laid Hannah down on top of the ice. And I'm like, you're not even going to give her, anesthesia? And he said no. And I'm like, okay, I was thinking in my head, I do not want this process to go on. So I hurried up and grabbed Hannah. And so then he never did spay her because I wasn't about to let him spay her without giving her painkillers and stuff. And anyway, so that was kind of funny. I don't know where the aliens got the idea of the ice, because I don't think I had ice on the brain or anything. But that was kind of funny because it's like the veterinarian was going to numb her by ice, which is kind of like a natural method, which that's kind of funny. Shows you how the aliens have a sense of humor. Well, because aliens know I'm all into natural methods and stuff, so that's probably why they came up with that idea of the ice in my scenario. But anyway, that was just another little scenario I had a few weeks ago with that Wal-mart one or whatever. But yeah, and then yesterday, that was, I told you about the high ceilings, which was like auditorium. The motel rooms were like freaking, it was like 5 auditoriums. That's what it was like, this one motel room. And then the other motel room, just to the side, adjacent, whatever you call it. I don't know if that's the right word. To the side of the motel room that I was in. There was a new side and then the old side. But anyway, okay, and then, but I want to talk about real quick, because I remembered it, because when I first woke up, I was like, man, what did I dream? I know I dreamed something really good. And then it came back to me not long after, because I was going to try to go back to sleep, and I probably laid there longer than an hour. I couldn't go back to sleep, I don't think. I don't think I did fall back to sleep, but I ended up getting up about 8:15, but I don't think I fell back to sleep. But like I say, the first time I woke up, it was probably at least 7 or 6:45, something like that. And because I was trying to remember what the hell, I was like, dang, what was that other... But then it came back to me when I was in the process of trying to fall back to sleep, because it was really bizarre. But anyway, I'm going to try to talk about it like real fast. But well, I'll just try to talk about that when... Okay, so wait, hold on, let me think. Okay, where was I? Okay, hold on. But I'll get better scenarios soon. It's just my I haven't been sleeping real good, so then my scenarios aren't just super duper duper good. But yeah, okay, so basically, I can't remember where I was walking through. I mean, I know I remembered, like when I was in the experience, I knew what I was walking through. Okay, I'm trying to think. What was it? Okay, I can't remember where I was walking through. It almost seemed like the lobby. I don't know if you call it a lobby of like a movie theater. Let's see. Let me think. Well, I don't know, but it almost seemed like I was just walking through like a lobby of a movie theater. And shit. But anyway, it doesn't matter. But it almost seemed like I was walking along in a movie theater, like, and outside of all the movies and stuff. And there was this one woman, and I don't know this woman, and I know I'm forgetting so much of this experience, except for this one part or whatever. And there was but yeah, I'm trying to think, where the heck did they get that woman from? She wasn't ugly or anything. She looked about, I don't know, she could have just been late 20s or 33 or something like that. Early 30s. Okay, actually, another part is coming back to me, but that could have been a separate, anyway, I'm not going to talk. I was at a fast food restaurant, but I'm not going to talk about that one. That was just another lucid dream I had or whatever. But anyway, so this part is like I was walking along in the lobby of like a movie theater. And then this kind of short hair, kind of blonde headed woman kind of walked by me. And I recognized her from like a year ago. In the scenario, but in real life, I don't recognize her at all. But in the scenario, it was like it's like I came across her before and talked to her before from like a year ago. And in the scenario, it's like I saw her again. And she looked at me and she's like, you're right. I think, in the scenario, she said, I think you're right. I think, you told me about the aliens like messing with me and how humans could be involved too. I guess maybe they telepathically talk to the aliens to screw with this person or whatever. I don't know. But in the scenario, it was, because you know how you watch like a UFO researcher and they'll be like, oh, there's always human involvement. Yeah, which that could be kind of true. But in the scenario, it was kind of like, well, there's, like, I don't know. I just know I had some human involvement right after a physical abduction. But I don't know of any other times having any other experiences like that. And that was in 2013. And so that was kind of weird. It's like, I don't know. There's humans out there that actually know when people are going to get physically abducted or something. And then they try to go off your technology or in your brain or whatever, or ears. They try to hijack. But how the fuck do they know? Well, like I say, I guess I don't know. They top dogs must know when the top dog humans, government agents must know when the top dog aliens, when it's time to physically abduct certain people. And because I never did really believe that, but I do kind of believe that now. But yeah, so but in the scenario, she looked at me, and she said, I think you're right. I think I'm being screwed with by aliens, and like you said, I think there's some human involved too, something like that. Because at first, like a year ago when I talked to her, and this is all under the scenario. A year ago when I talked to her, or that was the mindset, you know what I'm saying? A year ago when I talked to her, she didn't really believe me. But this was just gross and grotesque. I mean, it wasn't just totally gory or anything, but it was just grotesque. I mean, most horror movies are a lot more grotesque than this, but still, it's just disturbing. Okay, so anyway, and she was a good-looking like woman and everything. She had blonde hair, and like I say, she was probably 29, 33, something like that. And, but this is what was really weird. But I mean, there's no way any person walking around like that, they would be dead. You know what I'm saying? But like I say, the aliens, they have this way of, they can create anything in your scenarios. So basically, I looked at her head and everything, and basically, it's like, well, this is all, the alien, so to speak, had put, almost like they took like a axe. What's it called? A hacksaw or whatever? An axe. Almost like as if they took an axe and literally just sawed into the back of her head, the lower part of her head. So there were just like this big, long, like bloody mark, all on the back of her head, like neck, like the bottom of her neck. I mean, the top of her neck. The bottom of her head. It was just this big. I mean, it wasn't that gory, but still, it was very disturbing. Like, I could see the big bloody mark, and it looked like, I mean, it literally looked like they went like 3 or 4 inches deep or something, all at the bottom of her head, all along her head. You know, like, it was like 6, 7 inches long. And then not only that, but then at the front of her head, on her forehead, at the top of her forehead, was the same. It was the same. Like, there's just this big, bloody, like, but it was very, you know, very, very straight axe indentation. And then on her forehead, it was, you know, like 6 inches across or whatever. Just this, you know, like this bloody, but it wasn't dripping blood. Like, it wasn't that gory, but it was just, it was very real looking. It was very real looking and very disturbing because it's very real looking. And then the whole top of her forehead was like the same thing, like just as, like as if somebody just took a axe and just like bam at the back of your head and then the top of your forehead. And I mean, and it was, you know, you could tell it was, you know, it was deep or whatever. Like, it wasn't dripping blood or anything, but it was just so disturbing. And it was just like, wow. And I was just like, you know, I was looking at that and I'm just like, how is she even like walking around and stuff? But she was just walking around like normal, you know what I'm saying? She wasn't hurting or anything. But, and so in the scenario, it's like, that's what the aliens did to her, you know what I'm saying? Tampered with her. It's almost like maybe the aliens were trying to tell me that they gave her lobotomy or something, but they didn't tell me that. They didn't make me think that or anything like that. But now that I'm awake and everything, it's almost like maybe that's what the aliens were trying to tell me or something, like, oh, we did a lobotomy on her or whatever. But it was just weird. It was just so bizarre. Okay, but anyway, but then it went off into a bunch of other crap, and it was just weird. Like, me and my mom, like, I was going home after that, and it's like we weren't even in a car, and we were just kept going down, like I don't know, like she came to pick me up or whatever, but we weren't even in a car. We ended up on this big old tall hill. We were going home, but we were just on these massive hills, and we were just like, it was weird, like astral traveling, just like zoom, like, I don't know, it was really weird. And like I said, I can't remember, you know, a lot of this. I mean, it lasted a long time, but I know that one part where we were on the hill, me and mom or whatever, it was weird. I can't even, that part is fuzzy now. But yeah, I mean, I know it was kind of weird and fun. I wish I could remember more of that part because it's like, I don't know, it was weird. Like, she was picking me up, but we weren't in a car though. We just kept going down these massive like hills. Like, it's like we didn't have anything. We weren't in anything. We were just like astral traveling or something. It was weird. But anyway, it was just weird with that woman and the axe marks. But they were very, you know, clean cuts. Very clean. But like I say, the alien could have made me totally put those words in my head, you know, like lobotomy and stuff, but they didn't. But now that I'm awake and everything, I mean, that's what it was almost like as if the aliens did a lobotomy or something. And anyway, like I say, in the scenario, you know, the woman said, you know, she somehow knew it was the aliens that did that to her, but that there was also human involvement. You know, because the aliens took that from my brain, because that's what you hear a lot with these researchers. They'll be like, there's human involvement, you know. Well, there's not. I mean, I don't know. I guess there's only human involvement when, you know, they know they're going to physically abduct or whatever. When the aliens are going to physically abduct. But yeah, so that was just weird, man. And, but I mean, yeah, there's no way you could be walking around alive if you had a gash in your head like that. A very clean gash, very long, 2 clean, long gashes. Now, I can't remember if she had anything below, you know, like on her chin area. I don't think so. I just remember on her forehead, big clean gash, and then the back of her neck, you know, the back of her head, the top of her neck. and like I say, it was so like virtual reality. But anyway, yeah, okay, so this other experience, like, I don't know if I have time to, let's see, I don't know. The Walmart one. Okay, I need my glasses. Wait. Okay, that's not. Okay, let me see. Office one far left. Wait, hold on. Okay, I think I missed a piece of paper. I may have about 10 more minutes. I may be able to talk about it in 10 minutes. I don't know. Oh, okay, let's see. Okay, so this is the Wal-mart experience. Okay. Okay. It was not doing. I wrote it down. Okay, I actually saw the Excel. I thought there was one more page to this, but maybe not. Okay, hold on. Let me think. Malaysian guy took. Okay. Okay, yeah. So that was that other experience, but I'll have to do another video for that one. But basically, and this was a blast. Okay, so I was walking around for at least 2 to 3 hours, maybe longer, in this Walmart up the street under this OBE-VR-lucid dream. And in the scenario, of course, it felt really different. It was definitely the Walmart that they were trying to copy off the street, the aliens, you know, for my scenario. But in the scenario, of course, it felt like a different dimension. It felt really different in the scenario. Okay, so I was walking around for at least 2 to 3 hours. Hold on. Oh, okay. Well, the first part I actually didn't really talk about. I didn't type it out. But okay, so basically, God damn it. Over to the right hand side of Walmart is the food. I mean is the non-food area. So I walked into Walmart. And this is all under OBE-VR, lucid dream. I left my silver bike sitting there on a kickstand. I put it on a kickstand right in the aisle right there. Because after I got to Walmart, my mom had came in and had an emergency. So then I left back out of Walmart. And then when I came back, now that wasn't part of the scenario. Whoever took me back to Walmart, that wasn't part of the scenario. But I just ended up back at Walmart. So then I went to look for my silver bike and it was not there. Okay, and basically, basically, the non-food entry, that's where I put my bike. I set my bike up right there. The silver bike. And this is kind of funny, but in real life, like me and my sister, we did actually buy some bicycles, and we went through that exact same entrance over 20 years ago. We went in there to buy some bicycles, and I remember the boyfriend wanted to go ride bikes that day, but it was in March. It was a little chilly, and I was still getting over bronchitis, and I thought about going to the well, actually I did. I went into the walk-in clinic, but there was a long wait, so I ended up not waiting. And so the aliens were trying to copy that. I have no doubt they were trying to copy that. That's why they made me go back out, because my mom had an emergency in the scenario. But in real life, it was the same kind of situation, except I kind of had an emergency because after we got our bikes, I couldn't really, like ride it because I was still having all this bronchitis problems. and I kind of had an emergency, and I went into the walk-in clinic in real life. So the aliens was trying to copy that theme or whatever. So that's kind of funny. So anyway, so after I went back inside, I was walking around. I walked around for at least 2 to 3 hours trying to catch every manager to get my silver bike back. Because I knew that, they had put it in a lost and found, and I wanted my bike back. Okay, I used to own a silver bike in real life, and I recently was talking about it. Okay, and then the scenario started where, like my mom, my mom had came in, and she saw me with my bike, and apparently she had an emergency, so that's why I went back out of the store, and I left my bike right there, right in the picture where I showed you. I left my bike right there in the middle aisle where the makeup and stuff was. And I stood it up on its kickstand. Then I came back at a later time to get my bike, but the managers put it in the lost and found. Okay, so anyway, so this is where I started to hunt down the managers. I started to walk back and forth all the way to one end of Walmart to the other end of Walmart. I started to hunt down the managers, walking around, or employees to ask them where my bike is. And one manager was in the scenario who really does not, one manager was in the scenario that the aliens put in the scenario who really does work at Walmart, and I see him a lot when I go to Walmart. That same manager was in this scenario. Okay, so one manager was in the scenario who really does work at Walmart. And anyway, so I flagged him down, this guy, that real guy, that works at Walmart. The aliens put him in my scenario, so I flagged him down. And I told him, will you go get my silver bike? I'm looking for my silver bike. I waited forever, and I walked back there where he was, and he never came out with my bike. I went over here. That's where the break room was. Excel, PC room, locker room, break room. And that's the lost and found right there. Here's the food entry, non-food entry, and here's where like the cashiers were. A bunch of cashiers all along here. There was a jewelry counter, potato chip rack aisle. And here's where I left my bike, way over to the other end of the store. But yeah, so I went over there where I just showed you where the break room was. Because that's where he went. That's where the manager went. But I was standing there. I waited forever, and I walked back there where he was, and he never came out with my bike. I just kind of, waited there outside where the door was, the entry was. He acted like he was trying to avoid me when I did see him come out. He came out around the corner, and he acted like he was trying to avoid me. And I just kept getting madder and madder. I just kept getting so mad in this scenario. I was walking around so mad, because I knew that they were just jacking with me, and I wanted my bike back. He acted like he was trying to avoid me when I did see him come out. I thought to myself, well, maybe he wasn't trying to avoid me, but he just happened to not see me standing there waiting on my bike around the corner there. Well, I was standing there right there by where I showed you, by the locker room, between the locker room and the break room. And he had a huge red, wait a minute. But anyway, right here, that's where I was standing, like right there. Or like right there. Right there. And then he came out around the corner right there. And he acted like he was trying to avoid me. Okay, so I went back to that same area where I put my bike, my silver bike, and I saw that manager again. I walked back and forth around this Walmart, the front of Walmart for a long, long time. Like it lasted many hours, and I was like so pissed off in the whole scenario. Like I was mad. And, okay, so I went back to that same area where I put my bike, the silver bike, where it was, disappeared now. And this was kind of funny. What he had sitting there where my silver bike used to be, what he had sitting there was this red mountain bike. It was brand new, and it had those big old tires on it. It had those big old black rubber tires. And the aliens took that from my brain, because sometimes I go back there and look at the bikes, and they'll have this new kind of bike with these huge tires. And so that same manager was standing there, with right there by the huge mountain bike, the red mountain bike, and it was sitting up too, on the kickstand. He said, "Is this it?" I was like, "No, mine is silver." But at first, I told him no, that mine is silver. But at first I was going to take it since it was brand new, but then I saw how big it looked, and it looked like it was for somebody 7 foot tall. That's what I was thinking in my scenario. So that's why I didn't go ahead and take that bike that he was trying to give me. I walked around pissed off so mad. I walked around pissed off so bad and mad in the scenario, even cussing at some of the employees. I cussed at some of the employees and managers because I didn't know where my bike was. Funny thing is, the aliens know I had been pissed off in real life at Walmart pickup orders because I recently been there in real life a couple times, and the towers were always down or whatever, and so they would have to go get you your stuff. And I would be like standing there forever to get my shit, you know? Anyway, I tried to hunt down some more managers and employees, and some employees seemed to flub me off. The aliens do that a lot because they're like trying to make me mad or something in my scenarios. And that's what was making me mad too, that a lot of employees and managers were just flubbing me off and not telling me where my bike is. Okay, so I went to the back again, so to speak, but actually it was more to the left side of the Walmart. That was where the first manager went, and that was where my bike was supposedly. And before that, I stopped off at a jewelry counter where this employee, he was a big black guy, light skinned, with a big fro and a big face. He was working behind the jewelry counter, and I asked him, where is that other manager? I said he was tall, and he was acting like, no, he isn't tall. He was like trying to argue with me, it seemed. But no, in real life, that guy, he's not super tall, but he's not short. In real life, that manager is kind of tall. And so anyway, it's funny. So this black guy was trying to argue with me and act like, no, that manager isn't tall. But yeah, so I was like, I went to that back again, so to speak, but actually it was more to the left side of the Walmart right here. I'm calling this the back, but really I guess it was, you know, I went all the way from there, kept walking around, all the way over here many times to over here, to the side of Walmart, basically. And in my scenario, there was no wall there, you know what I mean? In real life, there's a wall or whatever where the cheese and hamburgers and stuff is. So anyway, I went to the back again, so to speak, but actually it was more to the left side of the Walmart. That was where the first manager went, where I told you near the break room. And that was where my bike supposedly was. And before that, like I said, I stopped off at the jewelry counter where this employee, the big light-skinned black guy with a fro and a big face, was working. And I asked him, where is that other manager? I said he was tall, and he was acting like, no, he isn't tall. And he was like trying to argue with me, it seemed. Then right there, I went down the potato chip aisle, and I looked up at the corner and picked up some packets of Kool-Aid. I picked up some packets of Kool-Aid looking packets, but it was like soft jelly candy in them. And I was like thinking in my head, why is this in the potato chip aisle? Yeah, the aliens make me do funny things like that. This is where I talked to the black guy, jewelry owner, and I went down this potato chip aisle. You know, like this was, I think, before, you know, I was waiting on, or after I was waiting on my bike from the manager to come out of the break room. And then he acted like he was trying to avoid me. But at first I stopped off at this, you know, asking this employee, the black guy at the jewelry counter. And like I said, there's a potato chip aisle right there, way over to this side. I reached up, way up high, and that's where I picked up the Kool-Aid packet. But it wasn't Kool-Aid. There was some kind of jelly type of candy in it. The aliens are funny. And I was thinking in my head, why is this on the potato chip aisle? Because I knew there was candy in there. Like a jelly kind of gooey, gummy candy. Then I proceeded to go get my back and look for, get my back and look for my bike myself. Then I proceeded to get my, then I proceeded to go look for my bike again. And, you know, just to go look for my bike myself. And I saw then I proceeded to go get my bike back, and I looked for my bike myself. And I saw 3 to 4 entryways. One to the employee break room where the manager went on that far left where I showed you. One for the women's locker room and or bathroom. And one to the office. And one that said, the office. That one said Excel to the left top left top corner of the doorway. And I thought to myself, oh, that is the computer room, LOL. I actually saw the word Excel over to the top left of the door. It said Excel, E-X-C-E-L. And I had recently been, looking at Excel spreadsheets and stuff at work. So that's kind of funny. The aliens put that in here. Okay, so then I proceeded to go get my bike back and to look for my bike myself. And I saw the 3 to 4 entryways. One to the employee break room, where the manager went at the far left, and one for the women's locker room and or bathroom, and one to the office, which was the computer room, which said Excel. And like I said, I thought to myself, that must be the computer room. And that's where I saw the word Excel at the top left corner of the entryway, the door, or the entryway. Well, there wasn't any doors in any of these. It was just like an entryway to the break room, locker room, Excel, PC room. And then the word Excel was right there. The word Excel was just like right there. It's kind of funny. But this is exactly how it was laid out or whatever. It was laid out pretty similar to the real Walmart. But, yeah, so that part was kind of funny. Okay, so then I finally went into the employee break room myself. It was outdoors, but encased in concrete. It was encased with a concrete wall. There were like 3 couches with a few 20-year-old looking workers sitting around having their, breaks. The floor was white rocks. The floor was basically, what's that called? Gravel. The floor was gravel. So basically it wasn't a floor. It was, like gravel, and it was outdoors and, encased in concrete wall. I started arguing with one worker and said, the Corona is a hoax and doesn't even freaking exist. And I said, go in a hospital and see for yourself. It's empty because the Corona doesn't exist, and that the other patients who go in there get killed. I was really mad and really yelling at this guy, but he did not believe me. Here's what I cannot remember. I cannot remember how the argument got started. I think he said something first and got me going, but I cannot remember. And I cannot remember what he said to get me going, but I started screaming at him and saying the coronavirus is a hoax and that it doesn't even freaking exist. And I did say the F word. And I said, go into the hospital yourself. It's all empty and the Corona doesn't exist, and the other patients who go in there get killed. So hence, that's why the hospitals are empty. And here's what I cannot remember. I cannot remember how the argument got started. Okay, so then I'm getting to the last part of the scenario. Now, I never did walk into the locker room or the Excel PC room. I only walked into the break room, on into the lost and found. This area right here is basically the lost and found. There's the break room. I actually walked into the break room, and I had my argument, and that's where I saw the couches. And right there, this other room, it wasn't really a room, it was also encased in concrete. That's where the lost and found was. And, okay, so anyway, so then I told one of the guys, I said, one of the employees taking the break, I said, I was looking for my bike, my silver bike, and that it was silver, and they said something about, oh, the lost and found is back in that room. So I went into another smaller room that wasn't a room, basically. It was still like an outdoor enclosure, encased with concrete and white rocks, white gravel, just like the employee break room. And anyway, so here's where the break room was, and that's where I found my bike. This scenario is so cool because I actually found my bike, because most of these scenarios, the aliens, you'll be like trying to find your gold ring and you never find it. You're trying to find your mom and you never find your mom in the mall. You're supposed to meet up with your mom, and then it ends before you find your mom or whatever. But in the scenario, I actually found my bike. Okay, so what the deal is, after I went into the other little room I just told you about, over to the left, the far left, was another red bike, and my silver bike leaning up against the red bike. The red bike was like up against the wall, the concrete wall, and my silver bike was up against that bike. And I, to make sure that it was my bike, I looked down at my seat, and I saw my little gel cushion seat. In the scenario, it was more narrow. In real life, I have a seat that's wider on my bike, but in the scenario, it was more narrow, but it had a soft cushiony gel seat. And I looked down at the seat, and I was like, yep, this is my bike. So I picked it up and I moved it out here's my bike. So I picked up my bike and kind of moved it out in the middle, and the handlebars was facing to the left, and that's when I was about to roll it out into the other room. No, actually I did. I rolled it somewhat back into the middle. The scenario ended right when I was in the middle of the break room, when about to go back out into Walmart. So so when I kind of picked up my bike and took it out in the middle, the handlebars were facing left. I looked down at my left pedal, and it fell off. The pedal just fell off. And then I just sort of rolled my bike out back into the break room, and in the middle of the break room. And like I say, that's when the scenario ended. But before the scenario ended, that's when I looked here again. It was the same reptilian that gave me this experience, because that's when I looked up and I noticed how freaking tall, how big that room was. Because at first when I walked through there, it didn't seem so big. And then when after I got my bike and walked back through there, I looked up and I was just like, wow, this is a huge break room. Like the concrete walls were just like, they didn't seem so tall at first, but when I walked back through there, it was massive. And the ceiling, well, actually there wasn't really a ceiling. The ceiling was, it was outdoors. There wasn't any ceiling. But that's when I noticed how tall the walls looked. And it was a much bigger, how big and square the break room was. Because like I say, when I walked back through there, it seemed like it was like 5 times bigger compared to when I first walked through the break room looking for my bike and where I had the argument. Then it's like when I rolled my bike back into the middle of the break room, that's when I looked up and looked around, and I'm just like, wow, this is so big. Or this is a pretty big break room, And then boom, the scenario ended right there after I actually got my bike. But this break room, it didn't have like a roof or anything. It was outdoors. There was no ceiling or anything. But like I say, it was when I went back through there at the end of the scenario, when I looked up and looked around at the break room, and I noticed how freaking big it was. But the first time around, it didn't seem so huge. So that was kind of weird. But yeah, so anyway, it was a fun experience. And like I say, I was walking around so mad because I wanted to find my bike, and I felt like, they were dicking with me, the managers and employees. But yeah, so I think I said everything. But yeah, the manager tried to give me that red bike, and like I said, at first I was going to take it. When I realized how big it was, it looked like it was somebody for 7 foot tall, and I knew I wasn't 7 foot tall. But it's kind of cool experience because I actually got my bike back. Because the aliens, you ask anybody and they'll tell you the same. Their dreams are exactly like that too. They'll be like, they're about to have, sex with somebody, and then they never have sex with them. Or they're about to do this and they never do it. This scenario ends before they get it done or whatever. But in this scenario, I got my freaking bike back. So that was cool. I don't know why it's blurry. But anyway. That was just the red bike up there that I just put. But this is black and white. But anyway, that's the red bike up there. But that's where I left my silver bike, and then they put it way over here to the lost and found. This was a different red bike, I think. I don't think that was supposed to be the same red bike. I'm not sure, but anyway, that was kind of funny. Yeah, with the red bike and everything. Maybe it was supposed to be the same bike. I don't know. The alien didn't tell me if that was supposed to be the same red bike, that he had put way over here to try to give to me in place of the silver bike. I don't know. But anyway, it was a cool experience. And then, like I say, that manager, that's really not him, but I mean, it was the same guy in real life that they, put in my scenario, and I flagged him down, and he was the one trying to find my silver bike. But I ended up having to find it myself because, like I said, I guess they were just all dicking with me, Weren't they? They were just dicking with me, Tora.